Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed friends and fellow travelers in this journey of life, welcome you both once more, each from different parts of the world and with something likely differing. It is a strange and difficult thing to be wronged. We are all familiar with the sensation, the sting of injustice, the quiet sorrow that lingers when one has been hurt by another, often in secret. What is perhaps more painful than the act itself is the knowledge that such a hurt may be hidden from the eyes of others. The very secrecy in which these wrongs are carried out can often feel like a burden, as though one is left alone to carry the weight of a betrayal that the world cannot see. But let us pause for a moment and consider the nature of secrecy itself. For when someone harms us in secret, they may believe that they have gained some advantage, that they have escaped justice or the consequences of their actions. They may think, what is done in the shadows will remain in the shadows. Yet this is an illusion. The universe is governed by laws far greater than those that govern our human understanding of power. Indeed, there is a divine justice that cannot and will not be outrun. As we ponder this, we must ask ourselves, how can we, as individuals, overcome the feelings of frustration and helplessness that arise when we are wronged in ways that no one else can see? We are reminded in the Scriptures that it is not for us to exact vengeance. "Vengeance is mine," says the Lord, "I will repay." And it is here that we find both comfort and challenge. While we may desire to expose those who harm us, to right the wrongs ourselves, it is God who has promised to expose the secrets of the heart. In His time, He will bring justice to light, not in the hidden recesses of our personal feelings, but in the full view of His perfect understanding. Those who think they are safe in their deception are walking in a great delusion. For no matter how carefully they conceal their actions, no matter how many locks they place upon the door of truth, they are subject to a higher order. The divine justice that we await is not merely a future event, but a present reality, which shapes the moral fabric of the universe. Those who harm others in secret are never truly beyond the reach of God's judgment. In time, what is hidden will be revealed, not for our vindication alone, but to ensure that justice is done. There is, however, a more profound lesson in this, for as we see others' wrongs exposed, we must also remember that we too are accountable for the hidden places in our own hearts. In our fallen nature, we all have our secrets, small perhaps or large, that we hope will remain hidden. But God, in His infinite wisdom, knows us far better than we know ourselves. His justice is not one of mere punishment, but of restoration and purification. And so, while we may yearn for the wrongdoer to be exposed, we must not forget that the same grace that exposes the wrong also offers redemption. When God reveals the truth, it is not only for the sake of justice, but for the possibility of reconciliation. The wrongdoer may also be offered the chance for repentance, the opportunity to seek forgiveness and healing, just as we are called to forgive those who harm us. This is where the Christian vision of justice differs radically from worldly notions of vengeance. It is not enough for God merely to expose evil. He wishes to restore the soul. His desire is not that we should gloat over the fall of another, but that we too should remember the mercy extended to us. In the end, we must trust that God's justice will prevail. The wrongs done in secret will be brought into the light, not because we wish to see our enemies destroyed, but because we understand that God's justice brings true peace. The wrongdoer will not go unaccounted for, and the one wronged will not be forsaken. This is the hope we hold as we walk through life's inevitable trials, those moments when we feel the sting of hidden wrongs. And dangerous habits, by definition, are a constant reminder that the world to which we fly lives. So, my friends, let us live with courage and patience, knowing that we do not fight this battle alone. God is with us, not only in the open moments of life, but in those darkened, hidden places where the hurts lie buried. He sees the truth, and in His time He will reveal it. Thank you. Hidden wrongs are among the most insidious forms of harm that one can experience. They are a unique type of injustice, for they often lack the outward signs of wrongdoing that allow others to recognize them. The harm is inflicted in private, hidden from the public eye, and it is precisely this secrecy that makes the wrongs so painful and difficult to confront. When someone hurts you in secret, it can feel like a betrayal that is both personal and isolated, as though you are left alone with your pain, unable to share it with others, because no one can truly understand what has happened. That is, until it happens again, or again and again. What makes secret wrongs particularly dangerous is that they often arise from a place of calculated intent. The wrongdoer, by their nature, desires to inflict harm without detection, believing that their actions can be shielded from the consequences that justice would otherwise bring. Whether through gossip, manipulation, deceit, or more subtle forms of cruelty, the wrong is executed in such a way that it remains hidden from the public sphere. The perpetrator might think that they have mastered the art of hiding their malice, and for a time they may seem to escape the immediate consequences of their actions. The very secrecy of these wrongs, however, is part of what makes them so difficult for the victim. When you are harmed publicly, there is at least the comfort that others recognize what has been done, and in many cases they may come to your defense. But when the harm is hidden, there is no such recognition. You are left to face the pain alone, unsure whether anyone will ever know the truth. This silence surrounding the wrong can breed feelings of isolation, confusion, and powerlessness. How do you respond to something that no one else seems to acknowledge? How do you defend yourself against an injustice that remains shrouded in secrecy? In many ways, hidden wrongs challenge the very fabric of our understanding of justice. When a wrong is perpetrated in the open, the community has the opportunity to witness it, to confront it, and to act upon it. Public wrongs can be rectified by public means, through discourse, through legal or social action, and sometimes through public shaming. But secret wrongs remove this possibility. They exist in a space where no one can see, and this creates a sense of helplessness for the victim, who may wonder if justice will ever come. The harm feels as though it is not only directed at the individual, but at the very notion of justice itself, as if the perpetrator has found a way to evade the moral laws that govern human interaction. End of Section 8. Recording by Scott Michael, Pennsylvania, U.S., 1999. However, there is something profoundly important to recognize here. The nature of secrecy itself is inherently fragile. The belief that one can escape the consequences of wrongdoing through secrecy is based on a misunderstanding of the universe and the moral laws that govern it. A hidden wrong may escape immediate detection, but it is never truly hidden. Even in the most isolated corners of the human heart, God's justice is at work, and the truth has a way of revealing itself, no matter how deeply it is buried. One of the lessons we can draw from the reality of hidden wrongs is the understanding that they are not permanent. The secrecy with which they are carried out does not guarantee that they will remain hidden forever. In fact, the more deeply a wrong is concealed, the more likely it is that it will eventually surface. This is because secrecy cannot change the inherent nature of wrongdoing. It cannot alter the fact that evil, in all its forms, disrupts the natural order and brings harm to individuals and communities. While a wrong may remain hidden from the eyes of the public for a time, the damage it causes does not disappear. It continues to affect the victim, and in the end, it will demand to be acknowledged. In time, it may perhaps be summoned to accept justice for the victim. And this is an essential point in the Christian understanding of justice. While human beings may fail to see the hidden wrongs in the world, God's eyes are never closed. He sees all things, the good and the bad, the open and the hidden. And it is through His perfect justice that all wrongs, even those done in secret, will be brought into the light. As the psalmist writes, "The Lord will bring to light the hidden things of darkness, and will make manifest the counsels of the hearts." This is not just a promise of judgment, but also one of healing and restoration. The exposure of hidden wrongs is not merely for the sake of vindication, but for the sake of truth itself. The truth must be known so that both the victim and the wrongdoer can be healed. When a wrong is hidden, it has the power to fester and grow, causing more harm to the person who has been hurt, and potentially leading the perpetrator to believe that their actions were justified. It is important, too, to recognize that hidden wrongs often go beyond the individual level. They have the potential to affect entire communities, as the harm is often systemic and relational, even if it is not immediately visible. When injustice is allowed to thrive in secret, it can create environments where dishonesty and cruelty become normalized. In this sense, the secrecy surrounding the wrong perpetuates its power. As the community at large remains unaware of the harm being done, however, the ultimate triumph of truth over secrecy is that it restores not only the individual victim, but also the broader moral fabric of society. When secret wrongs are exposed, they have the power to re-establish justice, to bring healing to fractured relationships, and to remind us all of the importance of living in the light. In the end, while the experience of being hurt in secret is deeply painful, it also provides an opportunity for growth. It challenges us to reflect on our own understanding of justice, to remember that secrecy is not a permanent shield against truth, and to trust that God, in His perfect timing, will bring all things to light. Secrecy may give a false sense of control to those who wish to avoid justice, but it cannot escape the ultimate reality of God's moral order. When the truth is revealed, it brings with it the possibility of redemption and healing, not just for the victim, but for all who are involved. The idea of justice and vindication is central to our understanding of how the world should work. When we are wronged, we naturally desire for justice to be served. We want the truth to be revealed, and we long for the wrongdoer to face the consequences of their actions. In the face of hidden wrongs, those harms inflicted in secret, it is easy to feel as though justice will never come, as if the perpetrators will escape unpunished, leaving the victim to carry the burden of the hurt alone. The experience of being wronged in secret often produces feelings of helplessness and frustration, for how can one seek justice when the wrong itself is invisible to the world? However, as much as we may long for immediate retribution, we must remember that our understanding of justice is limited. We see only the surface, the outward manifestations of what is happening in the world, but God sees all. His justice is not confined to the immediate consequences we can observe with our eyes. It is a broader, more eternal justice that works according to a divine order, one that will not be denied. Though wrongs may be hidden from the human eye, they are never concealed from God, and in time He will ensure that the truth is revealed and justice is done. This is where the concept of vindication comes in. Vindication is more than just punishment for wrongdoing. It is the process by which the truth is made known and the victim is justified. For those who suffer in silence, who are hurt in ways that the world does not see, the promise of vindication provides a profound hope. It is not enough for the wrongdoer to remain in the shadows, believing they can escape the consequences of their actions. They rejuvenate. As a result of the purification, for the first time in your life, God's justice will not allow it. While we may not always see the immediate effects of wrongdoing, God's perfect sense of timing will ensure that everything is brought to light. Calvosa. Vindication does not always occur in the way we expect, nor does it happen on our timeline. We might wish for swift and decisive justice, hoping that the truth will be uncovered quickly, that those who have wronged us will be exposed and held accountable. But often, divine justice unfolds gradually, and it is not always for us to understand the reasons why. God allows certain things to go unpunished for a time. However, the Christian faith teaches us to trust in God's ultimate wisdom and His perfect sense of timing. We are reminded that vengeance is His, not ours, and that we must not take matters into our own hands. While we are called to seek justice, we must also trust that God will bring about the final resolution, even when it seems as though the wrongdoer escapes unscathed. The story of Joseph in the Bible offers a powerful example of how vindication works in God's timing. Joseph was sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused of wrongdoing and left to suffer in prison for years. From a human perspective, it would have seemed as though Joseph had been abandoned and forsaken by God. Yet, in time, the truth was revealed, and Joseph was not only vindicated, but raised to a position of great honor and authority in Egypt. His brothers, who had wronged him, were forced to confront the consequences of their actions, and Joseph himself was able to forgive them. This story reminds us that even in the darkest of circumstances, God's justice will prevail, and He will bring about vindication in His perfect way. What makes divine justice so different from human justice is that it is not merely about retribution. In human systems, justice is often focused on punishment, on getting even, on making sure that the wrongdoer suffers in some way for what they have done. But divine justice is rooted in the deeper truth that all wrongs, no matter how hidden, must eventually be exposed so that healing can occur. Vindication, in God's eyes, is not merely about retribution, but about the restoration of order. When wrongs are revealed, it is so that both the victim and the wrongdoer can be healed. God's ultimate goal is not to destroy the sinner, but to restore them to Himself, and in this way, justice and mercy are brought together. End footnote. Moreover, divine vindication provides a unique perspective on how we should respond to wrongdoing. While the natural human response to injustice is often one of anger and desire for revenge, the Christian call is to seek peace, to leave vengeance to God, and to forgive. Forgiveness does not mean that we deny the wrong that has been done, or that we allow the wrongdoer to continue their harmful behavior. The universe. It means that we acknowledge the injustice, but we release our right to seek personal vengeance and trust that God's justice will be done. This is a difficult thing to do, and it requires great faith. Yet it is through this process of forgiveness that we find true peace. When we let go of our desire for personal retribution, we open ourselves to the possibility of healing, both for ourselves and for the one who has wronged us. Vindication, then, is not only for the victim. It is also for the wrongdoer. Just as God will reveal the hidden wrongs of those who hurt us, He also desires to offer them the opportunity to repent and be reconciled to Him. The act of vindication is not one of mere exposure or public shame, but an opportunity for the wrongdoer to face the truth and experience the possibility of restoration. If the seeker is truly restoration, then for him to find the way to restoration. This is a profound and humbling reality, for it means that God's justice is not only concerned with punishing evil, but also with offering redemption to those who seek it. It is in this tension between justice and mercy that God's wisdom is fully revealed, and it is through this process that both victim and perpetrator can experience the fullness of His grace. In the end, vindication is a powerful reminder that justice is not something that belongs to us to control. We are not the ultimate arbiters of what is right and wrong. It is God in His perfect knowledge and wisdom who will bring justice to light. We are called to trust in His timing, to wait with patience for the day when all wrongs will be revealed, and when the truth will finally be known. As we do so, we can find comfort in the knowledge that God's justice is perfect, that He sees all things, and that in the end He will make all things right. The illusion of power that secrecy provides is one of the most dangerous beliefs that can take root in the heart of the wrongdoer. There is a seductive notion that, by hiding one's actions from the eyes of others, one can escape the consequences of those actions entirely. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of both human nature and the moral order of the universe. Those who believe they can act without accountability, who think they can hurt others in secret without facing any repercussions, are living under an illusion, one that will inevitably be shattered. The idea of secrecy as a shield from justice is rooted in pride. The wrongdoer convinces themselves that they are above the reach of others, that they can manipulate situations to their advantage without anyone noticing. It is a form of self-deception, for in truth there is no action, however hidden, that is beyond the reach of the ultimate moral authority. In a world governed by divine justice, no wrong remains concealed forever. Even if no one else discovers the harm being done, the wrongdoer cannot escape the awareness of their own conscience, nor can they avoid the eventual exposure of their actions. At its core, secrecy is often motivated by a desire to retain control. The person who harms in secret believes that by keeping their actions hidden, they maintain power over the situation. They think they can manipulate others, exploit situations, or deceive without consequence, all while maintaining a facade of innocence. This is especially true in cases of betrayal or manipulation, where the wrongdoer seeks to preserve an image of trustworthiness while secretly working to undermine or deceive the other person. But this belief is profoundly misguided, for true power does not lie in secrecy or deception. It lies in truth and integrity. It lies in truth and integrity. There is a moral law that governs all actions, one that cannot be evaded by hiding in the shadows. In Christian thought, this law is a reflection of God's righteousness, and it is woven into the very fabric of creation. This means that every act, whether it is witnessed by others or not, has consequences. The moral order of the universe does not bend to the will of the individual, no matter how clever or calculating they may be in concealing their actions. So consequently, there is no such thing as the will of the individual, no matter how clever or calculating they may be in concealing their actions. Those who think they are beyond the reach of justice because they can operate in secrecy are fundamentally misunderstanding the nature of the world in which they live. In fact, the belief that secrecy grants power often reveals a deeper vulnerability in the wrongdoer. The need to conceal one's actions is itself a sign of weakness, not strength. It shows a lack of confidence in the righteousness of what one is doing. If a person truly believed their actions to be just, they would have no need to hide them. The fact that they must hide them in the first place reveals an inner knowledge that what they are doing is wrong. Secrecy is not a shield that protects the wrongdoer. It is a reflection of their fear and insecurity. They fear that if the truth were known, they would lose the power they think they possess. They fear being exposed for what they truly are, someone who has acted against the moral order, someone who has hurt another for their own gain. This false sense of power that secrecy provides is also tied to an illusion of control. The wrongdoer may think that by keeping their actions hidden they can control the narrative, control the consequences, and maintain the upper hand. But the truth is that no one can control the outcome of their actions indefinitely. Just as a lie can only remain hidden for so long before it unraveled, so too can secret wrongdoing only remain concealed for a limited time. The more a person tries to manipulate circumstances, the more they distance themselves from reality, and the greater the eventual reckoning. Secrecy may offer temporary respite from the consequences of wrongdoing, but it cannot change the fundamental truth that justice will one day prevail. The idea that secrecy can grant immunity from the effects of wrongdoing is also closely tied to a misunderstanding of the nature of human relationships. In a community, trust is the foundational currency upon which all interactions are built. When someone acts in secret to harm another, they are not only violating that person, they are also undermining the very structure of trust that binds the community together. Even if their actions remain hidden for a time, the damage they cause is still real. Secrecy creates a breach in the relational fabric that cannot be healed simply by keeping the harm in the dark. Trust is like a delicate thread that, once broken, leaves a permanent mark. And while it may take time for the damage to become visible, it will eventually show itself, either through the erosion of relationships or the eventual exposure of the wrongdoing. Moreover, secrecy often breeds a sense of isolation. The wrongdoer may feel empowered in the short term, believing that they have outwitted those around them, but they are also carrying the burden of a secret. This weight can be suffocating. The act of hiding one's wrongs creates a distance between the wrongdoer and others, for it prevents them from being fully honest and transparent. The more they attempt to control their actions through secrecy, the more they cut themselves off from true connection with others. They are forced to maintain a facade which requires constant effort and energy. Over time, the effort to conceal their wrongs becomes a prison, and they find themselves trapped in a web of lies and deceit. In the end, secrecy does not provide power. It strips the wrongdoer of true strength. The person who harms in secret may think they are gaining power over others, but in reality, they are only giving up their own peace and integrity. The more they deceive and manipulate, the more they lose touch with the truth, and the more they become ensnared in their own false narrative. The wrongdoer may also deceive themselves into thinking they are immune to the consequences of their actions, but the reality is that no one can escape the ultimate reckoning. God's justice is not swayed by the cleverness of human deceit. It is not fooled by the efforts to hide wrongdoing behind closed doors. In time, the truth will be revealed, and the power that secrecy once seemed to grant will be exposed for what it truly is, an illusion. Those who think they can hide from the consequences of their actions are mistaken. For the moral law that governs the universe cannot be outrun. In the end, the very secrecy that they thought protected them will be the thing that exposes their wrongdoing. Secrecy may provide a temporary sense of control, but it is no match for the truth, which will always find its way to the surface. The truth has a way of revealing itself, no matter how deeply it is buried. This is one of the most profound and comforting realities of the moral universe. When we speak of secret wrongs, we often focus on the hidden nature of the harm and the sense of powerlessness that comes from being hurt in ways that no one else can see. But there is an underlying promise embedded within this very idea. The promise that no matter how well a wrong is concealed, it cannot remain hidden forever. This truth, though at times difficult to comprehend, is one of the cornerstones of divine justice. The idea that the truth will come to light is not just a hopeful saying. It is a fundamental principle of how the universe operates, governed by a higher moral law. For the victim of a hidden wrong, this truth provides a sense of comfort, even in the midst of suffering. When we are wronged in secret, it often feels as though we are trapped in a solitary experience of pain. The absence of witnesses to the wrongdoing can amplify our feelings of isolation. We may wonder if anyone will ever know what has happened, or if we will be left to suffer in silence. But the promise that truth will be revealed is a powerful antidote to that isolation. Even when no one else sees the harm, even when it seems that the world is unaware of our pain, God sees, and in His perfect timing, the truth will be made known. Second Epistle to the 1 Corinthians. This assurance is not just about the exposure of the wrong itself, but also about the restoration of justice. Often, when a wrong is done in secret, the perpetrator believes they are escaping the consequences of their actions. They may think that because no one has witnessed their wrongdoing, they will never be held accountable. But the moral order of the universe, which is undergirded by God's righteousness, does not allow evil to remain unaddressed. The truth, once it is revealed, restores the balance of justice. The wrongdoer cannot escape the consequences of their actions simply because they have hidden them from view. Furthermore, the unveiling of the truth brings with it the possibility of healing. Hidden wrongs can fester in the shadows, causing both the victim and the perpetrator to suffer in ways that remain invisible to others. The victim may struggle with the pain of betrayal, the confusion of not knowing why they are being hurt, or the sense of powerlessness that comes from being unable to defend themselves. So some innovation. The wrongdoer, on the other hand, may continue to live with the weight of their deceit, even if it is not immediately apparent to those around them. The revelation of the truth is not just about exposing the wrong. It is about bringing the situation into the light so that healing can begin. It is about setting things straight and the process of making things right so that healing can begin. Once the truth is out, both the victim and the wrongdoer have the opportunity to confront the reality of what has happened, to acknowledge the harm that has been done, and to seek reconciliation and restoration. In many cases, the truth does not reveal itself in dramatic or immediate ways. The process of uncovering hidden wrongs can be gradual, and the exposure may come through subtle means. It might not happen in a moment of public revelation or through some grand event. Instead, it might emerge over time through a series of small but significant disclosures, or even through the gradual unfolding of a person's conscience. This is an important part of the nature of truth. It is not always immediate or obvious. Sometimes the truth comes to light slowly, in ways that might seem insignificant at first, but ultimately reveal the full extent of the wrongdoing. This gradual process can be both frustrating and liberating. It can be frustrating because the truth feels so elusive at times, but it is liberating because it affirms that no wrongdoing, however well concealed, is immune to eventual exposure. The eventual revelation of the truth also carries with it a deep sense of moral satisfaction. It is one thing to experience a wrong, to feel the pain of betrayal or deceit, but it is another to know that the truth will ultimately be made known. This is not simply a matter of seeing the wrongdoer exposed. It is about the restoration of integrity to the situation. When truth is revealed, it is as though the moral fabric of the universe is restored. The wrong is acknowledged, the victim is vindicated, and the wrongdoer faces the consequences of their actions. This restoration of truth and justice brings a sense of closure, a sense that things are finally as they should be. Moreover, the revelation of the truth is not just about justice being done in the human realm. It is also about the fulfillment of a divine purpose. In the Christian worldview, truth is not merely a collection of facts or a matter of human opinion. It is a reflection of God's eternal and unchanging nature. When the truth is revealed, it is an act of divine revelation. It is God's way of bringing justice and healing to a broken world. While the process may take time and may not always align with our sense of urgency, we can trust that God, who is the ultimate source of all truth, will make all things right in His time. End. One of the most remarkable aspects of this truth-revealing process is that it often involves the exposure not only of the wrong itself, but also of the deeper motives and hidden intentions behind the wrongdoing. When a wrong is done in secret, it is often accompanied by a web of lies, justifications, and deceptions. The wrongdoer may have convinced themselves that their actions were justified, or that they were operating out of some noble intention. The truth, once revealed, has a way of cutting through these falsehoods, exposing not just the act, but also the deeper motives that led to it. In this sense, the truth does more than simply expose the wrong. It exposes the heart of the wrongdoer, revealing the deeper layers of sin and deceit that they may have been hiding from others and from themselves. The revelation of the truth then serves not just as a form of vindication for the victim, but also as a call to repentance and transformation for the wrongdoer. The exposure of the hidden wrong becomes an opportunity for the wrongdoer to face the truth about their actions, to repent and to seek restoration. This process of truth revealing is not just about bringing the wrongdoer to justice, it is about offering them the possibility of redemption, but not only continues it, but also offers it as a form of redemption. Ultimately, the truth is not something that can be suppressed or hidden forever. It is part of the fabric of reality, woven into the moral order of the universe. No matter how much a person may try to hide the truth, it will eventually come to light. This is not just a promise of judgment, but also a promise of hope. The truth will bring about justice, yes, but it will also bring about healing, reconciliation, and restoration. It will make all things right, and in the end, all wrongs will be revealed, all betrayals will be exposed, and the world will be made whole again. This is the power of truth, the power to heal, to restore, and to bring about true justice. The revelation of hidden wrongs often leads to a public exposure, and with that exposure comes the inevitable consequences for the wrongdoer. The consequences, however, are not always immediate or dramatic. They unfold in a variety of ways. When hidden wrongs come to light, they disrupt the carefully constructed facades that the wrongdoer has built to shield themselves from accountability. This public exposure can take many forms, but it always carries with it the weight of truth, and it has the power to transform the wrongdoer's life in ways they may never have anticipated. One of the most striking features of public exposure is the impact it has on the wrongdoer's reputation. People who have been able to hide their wrongdoings for a time often rely on their image, whether it is of being trustworthy, capable, or moral, to maintain their power and position in the community. When their actions are revealed, this image crumbles. The false narrative they have built about themselves is dismantled, and they are forced to face the reality of who they truly are. This exposure can be painful, as it strips away any illusions of control or superiority they may have had. The people around them, who may have once trusted them or looked up to them, now see them for what they are. The shame and embarrassment that come with such a loss of reputation can be overwhelming, and it is often the first consequence the wrongdoer faces when their secrets are uncovered. However, reputation is not the only thing that is lost in the wake of public exposure. Often, the exposure of hidden wrongs leads to the fracturing of relationships. Trust once broken is difficult, if not impossible, to restore. When a person is found to have betrayed the trust of others, whether in a personal or professional context, those relationships are irrevocably altered. The damage done may not be immediately repairable, and even if forgiveness is granted, the scars of the betrayal often remain. For the wrongdoer, this can be one of the most painful aspects of their exposure. The relationships they valued or thought they could control may now be lost or irreparably damaged. This emotional toll is a direct consequence of their hidden wrongs coming to light, and it often serves as a catalyst for a deeper reckoning. Beyond the personal toll, public exposure also has broader societal implications. When the wrongdoer's actions are revealed, it often serves as a warning to others. The community at large begins to see the consequences of dishonesty, manipulation, or betrayal. In this way, the exposure of one person's hidden wrongs can function as a deterrent for others who might be tempted to act similarly. While the wrongdoer may have initially believed that they could evade consequences, their public exposure serves a larger purpose. It helps reinforce the moral fabric of the community by making clear that such actions will not go unnoticed or unpunished. The ripple effect of this exposure reaches far beyond the individual, sending a message that the truth will eventually come to light, and that no one is beyond the reach of justice. The experience of public exposure also forces the wrongdoer to reckon with the full scope of their actions. No longer can they hide behind the guise of ignorance or self-deception. The truth is out, and they are confronted with the reality of what they have done. This confrontation with truth is often the beginning of a much-needed process of self-reflection and repentance. In some cases, the wrongdoer may be forced to take responsibility for their actions, to own up to the harm they have caused, and to seek forgiveness. This can be a humbling experience, but it is also an opportunity for growth. When someone is exposed, they are presented with the chance to confront their own failings, to make amends, and to begin the difficult journey of restoring both their relationships and their own integrity. This process of reckoning with one's actions can also open the door to redemption. While exposure is often painful, it also creates an opportunity for transformation. The wrongdoer, having been stripped of their defenses and forced to face the consequences of their actions, may choose to change. In this sense, public exposure is not merely about punishment, but also about the possibility of redemption. It is through the revelation of truth that the wrongdoer may come to realize the full extent of their wrongdoing and take steps to heal the harm they have caused. The exposure of their secret wrongs, while painful, can lead to a new beginning if they are willing to accept responsibility, seek forgiveness, and change their behavior. It is also worth noting that public exposure can serve as a kind of cleansing. Secrets, by their very nature, breed darkness and confusion. When wrongs are done in secret, they fester in hidden corners, and their harmful effects spread quietly, often in ways that are not immediately visible. But when these wrongs come to light, they are exposed to the light of truth. This exposure allows for healing to begin, as the darkness is driven out and the harm is laid bare. The wrongdoer may experience shame in the process, but this shame can lead to a deeper sense of self-awareness and humility. By being brought into the light, both the victim and the wrongdoer have the chance to experience the healing power of truth. Passages 10 from Truth. Subtitle: Sleep Thinking. However, the consequences of exposure do not always lead to immediate reconciliation or restoration. The wrongdoer may face severe repercussions for their actions, including legal consequences, loss of career, or estrangement from family and friends. In many cases, the damage caused by their secret wrongs is so profound that it cannot be undone overnight. The process of rebuilding trust, repairing relationships, and restoring integrity takes time, and the road to redemption is often long and difficult. But even in the midst of these consequences, the process of exposure can bring about a deep, lasting change in the wrongdoer, provided they are willing to confront their actions and seek to make things right. The first soldier may